Today, we are going to be ordering numbers. You guys have already had experience with putting things in order before. Think about picture day. They ask you to get in order from the tallest all the way to the shortest in line. And maybe there's that one kid that's always really taller than the rest of the class. That's an outlier. Maybe you have Matthew in your class this year, and he is way taller than the rest of the class. So you know that he's going to go at the front of the line. But then the rest of the class, they might be closer in height to each other. So you have to pay more attention to notice that maybe Savannah goes next and then Brittany. We're going to be doing this with numbers today. We're going to see if there are any outliers or numbers that are way bigger than the rest of them, or maybe the outlier is way smaller than the rest of the numbers, so that we can order them on a number line. When we were comparing numbers, we learned that we need to look first at the biggest place value to compare those digits. We're using base tens today, and when we're using base tens, the biggest place value is the tens place. There's two digits, tens place and ones place. So let's look at these three amounts. We're going to be putting these in order on this number line from least to greatest. My smallest amount will go over here, and my biggest amount will go on this side. The first thing we need to do is look at the biggest place value. That's the tens place. I'm looking to see if there's an outlier between these three amounts. And I'm noticing that this one right here doesn't even have any ones cubes. They all have 4 for the tens place, but there's nothing for the ones place, so I know that this amount is the least. It's the smallest. Now I'm looking at these two. We know that they still have the same amount in the tens place, but 5 and 2, I know that 2 is smaller than 5. So I can put them in order from least to greatest by comparing the tens place and then the ones place. 40, 42, 45. The other thing that we need to pay attention to when we're putting numbers in order on a number line is how far apart they should be. Looking at my hundreds chart, I circled all of my three numbers that I am ordering, 40, 42, and 45. Now I'm noticing that 40 and 42, there's only one number in between them. In 42 and 45, there are two numbers in between them. So on my number line, I need to make sure that the 42 is closer to my number 40. There's only one number in between them, but there's two numbers in between 42 and 45. Now these are spaced out the correct way on my number line. Let's look at another example. We are looking for an outlier first, an amount that's either way bigger or way smaller than the rest of them. I don't even have to count how many 10 blocks are in these because this one right here has way more tens blocks than the rest of them do. We're putting these in order from greatest to least. So my greatest amount is going to go over here, and I know that that's this one. 70 is the greatest because it has the most 10 blocks. Between these two, I'm going to first start with my tens place. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the other one. Okay, they both have the same amount, don't they? Yes, they both have 5 tens blocks. So now I need to move to my ones blocks. Count the ones cubes, and you decide which amount is going to go next on the number line, which is the greatest between these two amounts. The greatest between these two amounts is the one with the more ones cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. This is my next greatest amount because it has 6 ones cubes and this one only has 3. Now before I finish, I need to make sure that these numbers are spread apart on the number line the correct way. We can use a 100s chart to make sure, but we can also just use it in our head. We can use our brain. So I know that this is 70 and this number is 53. 70, 53, and my number in the middle is 56. Well, I know that 56 is way closer on the number line to 53 than it is to 70. So I can move it closer to 53 like this. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as we know that there's a much bigger gap in between 56 and 70 than there is between 56 and 53. You are good to go.